Abducted ulna seems to be a common cause of common extensor tendinosis of the elbow. A number of models explain how this is, the most common of which is mechanical, that is, altering the length-tension relationship of the tendon. I've yet to find any clinician who's able to go any further in the explanation of this. I shall give my favourite explanation, as I think it is clearer and a better explanation. The first part is common to nearly all explanations, and I will indicate when this one diverges from it. The subluxation is almost certainly a result of arthrotic instability of the ulnohumeral joint, and this allows it to wander a bit within the capsule and sublux into abduction. This leads to a lengthening of the radius relative to the ulna, and this lengthening pushes on the carpals, shifting them ulnawards. It is this shift that promotes the model of length-tension change, and it is at this point that we take a different path. The wrist, when shifted ulnally, is unable to fully extend and radially deviate, which is a position of strength, so it is unable to generate full power, which is read by the proprioceptive system as needing more force, so the muscles contract more strongly and still fail to generate the force, and so you get overworked muscles. Added to this is the probability that the hypomobility of the wrist results in reflex inhibition and weakness, making the tendon even more vulnerable. At last, given sufficient need to produce power over a long enough period, the tendon degenerates. The following short video looks at one manipulation for the abducted ulna, my preferred technique. For those who would prefer not to manipulate, there is on the linked video depicting assessment and mobilization, a mobilization that you can use. The manipulation depicted is a short lever osteokinematic manipulation which gaps the joint, causing an adduction force to be applied. In another manipulation that is usable is to turn the mobilization on the other video into a single thrust technique. So, this is abducted. If we want to take it into adduction, one way to do it is basically to stabilize the humerus and simply force this over into adduction. Very effective, as I say, but essentially dangerous. We stand a really good chance of rupturing stuff on the lateral side of the elbow. We could come in and attempt to do a lateral glide of the ulna and try and push it across that way. Very safe, but not very effective. So we're going to compromise and do a fairly effective technique that is also fairly safe if it's done correctly. What we'll do is bring the patient's arm around your chest that way so their fingers are flat on your chest. We'll bring the thenar eminence up onto the medial epicondyle of the humerus. Take the arm out of full extension, so you just flex it slightly, okay? The direction of thrust will be actually to abduct the humerus on the stable ulna, which will have the effect of adducting the ulna on the humerus. So we have a short lever osteokinematic technique that will result in gapping on that radial side and hopefully correct this abduction subluxation. We need some assistance from the patient though. So we'll have the patient do a little bit of work for us, and I'll get the patient to pronate their hand into my chest, just gently, and relax. As she relaxes, I'll just take up the slack of that gapping, and again, and relax, take up the gap, and then when you're ready to thrust, you simply thrust a short amplitude movement across the elbow. Okay. Having done that once, recheck. This doesn't always click when you do it, as all manipulations don't, but this one in particular doesn't always click, and you'll correct it often without any noticeable sound. The abduction manipulation to correct an adducted ulna is essentially the reverse of the one we just looked at. We'll bring the patient's arm onto the other side of the body, like so now. We'll bring the hand, the thenar eminence, onto the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Take it out of full extension into a bit of flexion and bring her into this position. Now, the problem is that, is that the elbow will cause rotation, medial rotation of the arm as I try and do this. So I have to overcome that, and I'll do that by laterally rotating the arm first, bring it into that position so it's stable, and I can feel that the elbow is not going to go anywhere except where I'm going to thrust it. I'll have the patient help me again, supinate into my chest the other way, good, and relax, take up the slack, and again, take up the slack, and then we'll simply thrust medially, like so. So we adduct the humerus on the stabilized ulna, in effect, abducting the ulna on the humerus. There.